Hi, this is tax attorney Anthony Parent of Parents and Parents LLP, a Stamford, Connecticut tax law firm. And in this video, I want to talk about your three options when you need help for a tax problem with the IRS or state of Connecticut. And I guess the first thing you can do, and believe it or not, a lot of people do this, is ignore the problem. Just pretend it's not there. It's actually pretty easy to not open mail from the IRS. It's actually pretty easy to pretend that nothing wrong has happened. It's easy to avoid phone calls. The problem with this strategy is eventually, and the IRS and the state, they're a little bit different than your typical bill collector. And think of it like this. If you owe someone credit cards, credit card debt, it's very difficult for them to get money from you. What they're going to have to do is file an action in Connecticut court, and then once they have that judgment, they're not done. Now they actually have to go through all the steps of collecting it, which involves interrogatory of post-judgment creditors and stuff like that. And then they have to find your money. So in order to get it, and then you always can file bankruptcy at the last minute, leaving them on the hook for all those fees associated with trying to enforce that. So when you owe a regular debt, these credit card companies, they're going to do everything to try to get you to pay something, simply because they don't have the legal leverage that the taxing authorities do. So it's much, much cheaper, much, much more effective to harass you with phone calls and letters until you give something up. So the IRS and the state, they're not the same way. They'll send you a few letters. They're really not going to call you without sending you letters first or trying to make an in-person appearance. And so it gives you a false sense of security that you could go for years. We've seen people not file taxes, run up big tax debts, go on for 6+ years before the IRS catches up to them. Once they do, now they have a real problem on their hands. It's gotten really, really out of control. What is your other option if you have a tax problem? Well, you can just try throwing money at it. You could try dealing with it yourself, trying to understand what the IRS is saying or the state, and maybe hire someone to give you a hand, and just hope that they'll be able to handle this. The problem with this is I want you to think about something, and we handle a lot of big tax problems with the IRS, and every big tax problem where everyone needs tax help, the problem all at one point was small, but because it wasn't handled correctly, because there wasn't a plan, it erupted into a massive tax problem. Now your third option, what you can do, is actually come up with a plan to solve your tax problem. There's a whole bunch of things that you need to know in order to get this going. First thing is, are you in current compliance with the IRS or the state? Because if you're not, you need to take care of that first, because they're not going to deal with you. So that's the first step. Then the next thing you need to know is you need to investigate what is going on. What does this letter mean? What else is going on that they're not telling you? And then you need to know, do you have all your returns filed that you need to be filed? Then you need to know, well, what's your ability to pay? Not what you think it is. What can we get the IRS to think that your ability to pay is? And then what you need to do is come up with a solution that the IRS can accept. Now, there's a bunch of different programs out there, and there's advantages and disadvantages to all of them. But one of them will be the optimal one for you. So which one is it? And that's really what you need. That's really your plan. That's really what a positive plan to get you real IRS help, real help with this state of Connecticut looks like. This is Anthony Parent of Parent and Parent LLP of Stamford, Connecticut, and I thank you for watching. Please follow us on Twitter and subscribe to this channel and follow us on Facebook. Thanks for watching.